So before we talk about that one,
Yeah.
So are you saying that the general, mindset that banks don't support entrepreneurs? Are you saying that's not true?
That's not true. They don't support entrepreneurs who don't qualify. The guys that qualify get it. People get rejected for funding. It's for some of these basics. It's not that the funding is not there. Trust me, it's there. Unfortunately, the people that know the game, they've got the proof, and then they go and apply for a whole lot of money, and sometimes they don't even pay it back.
Yeah.
So these are the people that ruin it for everyone else in the system.
All right, cool stuff. So I'm here with Mr. Ntando. How are you doing, sir?
Good.
Awesome, man. Awesome. On Success Inspiration Academy, this is
Yeah.
what we do, man. Always trying to empower entrepreneurs. So you are big in this entrepreneurial space, man. And the one thing, as entrepreneurs, we want to know is how do we get funding, brother? Let's just get straight into it.
The most difficult one, the
Yeah.
most popular question.
The most popular one.
All right, so normally this question, I would say the agencies that are out there in South Africa especially, they exist for everyone, right?
Yes.
And if you're an entrepreneur and you're asking me that question, I first want to know a couple of things. What industry are you in? Because some types of funding are industry specific.
Okay.
I need to know what stage your business is at. Are you starting? Have you started? You're making a certain amount of money. How much? Because some other types of funding are linked to how far your business has grown. Right?
Okay.
There are very few options if you're starting and you don't have proof of concept. The options increase as your business grows and you've got traction and you've got financials to show. But in general, you've got the banks. And they are hard if you don't have proof of concept, if you don't
Okay.
have tractions, and if you don't have records.
Okay.
They are also hard if you don't have good personal finance and a credit score that says
Sure.
you can trust me.
Okay.
Because these guys, they're in business, and even government agencies. So they have to look at you and evaluate, are you going to pay back the money? Can we see based on your personal finance, your credit score, and based on the growth of your business, the cash flow, that there's evidence that you're going to pay, and you're going to pay back the amount that you'll need to be repaying based on how much you're applying for. Let's say your business makes 30,000 a month. If you're applying for 5 million, for example, and you're going to need to pay back about 80, 90,000 per month for the 4-year term,
Yeah.
it gets complicated for the person to believe that right now you're making 30,000, which means if we add a 90K payment every month to your business, it means at a bare minimum, you need to be making at a bare minimum, Boma 150 per month. Can they see with your motivation, with the contracts that you're saying you're going to get, can they see the evidence enough to say we can trust this? So a lot of the times people get rejected for funding. It's for some of these basics. It's not that the funding is not there. Trust me, it's there. Unfortunately, the people that know the game, they've got the proof, they've got the financials, they show the traction, and then they go and apply for a whole lot of money, and sometimes they don't even pay it back.
Yeah.
So these are the people that ruin it for everyone else in the system. It makes every other funder more strict. But in terms of options, you've got the banks, you've got CIFA, which has meshed with CEDA. It's
Okay.
now called CITFA.
So before we talk about that one,
Yeah.
So are you saying that the general, mindset that banks don't support entrepreneurs? Are you saying that's not true?
That's not true. They don't support entrepreneurs who don't qualify.
Oh, they don't.
The guys that qualify get it. I'm telling you, if you qualify, actually they might ask you how much you did. They
Wow.
might even tell you did more than you're applying for, right? You ask, we've got friends that are in private banking. They'll tell you they know the financials of the guys that are doing well. And these guys walk in and have conversations. Sometimes it's not even hard for them to prove how much to motivate for applying for a certain amount of money, right? But just manage your credit score. It's some basics that we have to get right.
Okay.
Because they are going to check it.
And how do we manage that
Your credit score?
Yeah.
That's the general things that we know about getting into debt, managing the situation when you are in debt, because a lot of the times we get ourselves into debt, we don't pay on time. That takes the score down. We get into credit cards, we use above the credit usage limit, because when you've got a limit of 10,000, it's not to say use all of it.
Yeah.
Once you use more than 30%, you start becoming a risk. And many people use all of it and then take forever to be paying back. You've put yourself under a risk that affects the credit card. You take some accounts you don't pay back at all. That takes your score down. So it's a lot of the things that bad financial behavior that people know about.
Wow, yeah.
A lot of the times it's what you know about. You're just not doing it, okay? Because it has never occurred to you that this thing is going to impact you when you apply for a loan for a home, a car, a business. Because you're thinking, because I'm applying for a business, they're not going to check. They are going to check.
Wow. So from there, the bank, you say that there is CIFA?
Right. CIFA, which is now CITFA. You've got National Empowerment Fund. You've got IDC. You've got, in each province, there are organizations that have been set up. I don't know the names for all the provinces. I know in Mpumalanga it's MEGA. Mpumalanga economic development something, but it's MEGA.
Yeah.
And in Gauteng, it's Gauteng Enterprise Propeller, GEP. So in Limpopo, they've got their own. Each province has got its own, so you need to check that. Then there are sector-specific organizations. There are SETAs that sometimes do have some funding, but in general, you've got Department of Agriculture if you're a farm, rural development if you're a farmer. Those focused on farmers.
Yeah.
Ministries, you might have a Ministry of Health if you're in health, and you check on their website what initiatives they have. Sometimes there's a crisis and then they come up with a fund. Like I remember in Mpumalanga, I got a client of mine who lost their business because there was a storm. But there was a specific fund, actually not in Mpumalanga, in Limpopo, there was a specific fund set up for relief for farmers because there had been a storm.
Yeah.
And the reason why she even got to know about it is we talked, and I was saying, talk to every agency that's related to your business, tell them your story and find out what they're doing in response. And when she did that, she realized, this ministry has got this relief fund for farmers, accessed it, got her business back on track.
Wow.
Thousands of farmers will be crying, not even knowing that it exists, because they're not going to go on the news and saying, guys, we've got millions come, right?
Especially when there's been an event. I mean,
exactly.
It will bankrupt them, yeah.
But then the responsibility becomes on the entrepreneur to go to each of these guys and say, how are you helping businesses in the sector? If you're in tourism has got a fund here and there. It comes out, it helps businesses that are in tourism. The guys in the arts, they get their fund. The guys in technology and innovation, the ministry has got funds. Sometimes those are even grants. The DTI through IDC has got funds. If you're an innovator, that can be $1 million grant.
Wow.
So it's a lot. What you want is to know all the funding organizations that are in South Africa. You can just chat GTP and say, give me the entire list.
Yes.
And then you go to each of their websites and find which ones are most relevant to your business. And then you filter by province, which ones work for me in this province. And then you get into their website, get intimate with what their requirements are, and then you start to engage with them. So what I don't normally like as well is if you're focused on funding, raising funding, I know most of the time, it's not always the case, but most of the time you're not focused on other options outside of funding that can help you grow your business, right? There's a lot of stuff that we've seen grow business out there. You've grown your business with social media.
Yes.
It's not funding, right? But you got your money from clients.
Yes.
A lot of entrepreneurs will not use that card to say the general public has got the money out there. If I've got a product and I sing about my product enough times,
Yes.
I'll get money from customers. They don't. Then they go to government and say fund me, or go to a bank and say fund me, so that I go and get the customers without the proof that you can.
There's no proof of concept.
You see.
Wow.
But when you're talking, if you're a funder and I'm saying, look, I've started this business, I was selling my chickens 3 years ago, I was making about 100K a year. The next year to that, 2 years ago, we made 500. Last year, we made 1.3 million. We need some funding because we need to expand some houses, and we're projecting that we'll make 2 million this coming year. See, that story has got traction. If you look at the financials, if you look at the photos, if you do your site visit, we can see that, goodness, 3 years, this is someone that we want to work with, right?
Yeah.
The only thing that takes them out of the equation maybe is credit score, and if they've got issues that side.
Yeah.
But in general, that is what takes you in.
Wow. No, that's amazing, man. I think someone once said that, instead of maybe going for a full-on, I need, a chicken business, why don't you start selling eggs?
Yeah.
And see whether this thing works.
Exactly.
And I think that's the thing with business, man. Business, a lot of people have got business ideas. We have all started something that has failed. And
we have, unfortunately.
Sometimes you tend to overestimate, what really this business can do for you.
Yeah.
And as you're saying, these things such as proof of concept, before you have a lot of sunk costs inside, before you quit your job, can you even prove that this thing actually works so that
True.
you can start going and all these things? Obviously, some of us have been, some of us, it's difficult. Some of us have quit our jobs. Some of these things is just, they say
had a lot of faith.
2020. You know what I'm trying to say? It happens like that.
Yeah, but it's not the only one. I think the other thing that ruins entrepreneurs is you're applying for funding and you go and say, I need $1 million. And when the person that's funding you looks at the application, they see 300,000 is going to working capital of that million, or 400,000, and you're going to pay salaries, you're going to pay your keep the lights on, pay rent, the basic working capital requirements, right? And what many don't realize is that in so doing, half the time they contradict themselves.
Oh, okay.
Because you're saying, give me $1 million, my business is on fire, it's on the rise. But on the other side, you're saying, help me pay salaries for the next 12 months.
Wow. So where can guys who are watching find you, and what sort of services do you provide, or what are you working on which can help, man? As entrepreneurs, we need help, man.
Well, I guess based on my name, I'm a coach, so guys can come for coaching. If you need funding, we can have that coaching consultation to say, so I do the assessment. What do you have? Where do you stand? And how much should you be applying for? So that's the main thing. But we do strategic consultations. We do culture consultations if you've got culture issues. We also do trainings to your employees. If you've got skills gaps that you've identified, we've got about 20 corporate training programs. So it's quite a bit. But in the coaching consultation, what I then do is try and identify where your business is, what some of the priorities are. Then I'll show you what we have available that can help you.
Awesome.
In terms of developing you, the leader, or the team.
Wow. And you're an author.
Oh yes, I'm an author.
Mr. Ntando
This
Maseko.
is Welcome to Financial Freedom. It's my first book.
Wow.
But I've got a super, super exciting one that's coming up next month.
Yeah.
It's called Atomic Mindsets.
Wow. Sure. Just take us briefly into what inspired it. What does it mean?
People keep calling me the mindset guy because of the podcast. They realize I don't have a book on mindset.
Wow.
But what I've done is, as a coach, I've seen that a lot of the times you set out to achieve something great. You tell yourself, I want to be a great entrepreneur. I want to be great in my career, right? And most times you are so optimistic when you're starting, and then you just quit and you remain at a certain level and accept the status quo.
Yeah.
Many people have that in their lives.
Mm.
They set out on a path and just never see it through and quit too soon and quit early, right?
Yeah.
So the atomic mindsets is mindset shifts on a journey. It's called the hero's journey.
Yeah.
There is actually a theme called the hero's journey. It's a book about it, and I adopted it to mindset shifts on each stage of the journey. To
Yeah.
give you a couple of examples, when you set out to say, I want to be a great content creator, for example, you're going to embark on a journey that's going to involve highs, lows, discouragement, mentors coming through, moments of reflection and realization and finding yourself. So in each of these stages, much like in a movie,
Yeah.
a hero comes, thinks they're big, something happens, crashes their spirit, they think they've lost it all, they are confused, they try something, they go the wrong direction, they rediscover themselves again, find the right
That's
path.
why I don't like movies, man. Watching some sad movie, I'm always like, okay, when is that part going to come?
That is life. That is life. So
My wife
most
is always
movies,
like, why don't you like sad things? You don't like sad things.
exactly. So most movies follow the path of the hero's
You're
journey.
right.
It's Kepler's work.
It's called the hero's
Journey.
journey. Yeah.
Most movies are in that blueprint.
course,
So that
yeah.
blueprint is always the case. You start somewhere, okay?
Yeah.
And it goes proper
Like, where's
nasty,
the
and you
pain
die,
when I
and
come
it's
here?
almost like there's no hope. And then you have to find yourself, and on the rise, people still push you down. Now you have to fight through. Then you have to find where you're winning, and you're winning, but you're not yet there.
Yeah.
And you still have to find the extra motivation to say push harder to that next level. But in each of these stages, there are mindset shifts that you need. So I look at 48 mindset shifts along the journey.
Wow.
Along each and every one of them. So that's why I'm so excited about it. The boot camp is tied to it, by the way.
Wow.
The total life transformation.
And when is that boot camp? I mean,
So we're waiting for 20K subs. Once it's there, we announce the date, we go.
Wow.
If you
What's the name of your podcast?
Mindset Profits.
Mindset Profits, guys. That's the podcast. You need to check
Mindset Profits. Mindset Profits.
it out. Podcast.
Yes. on
Awesome.
YouTube. So
Awesome.
once we get to 20, we'll announce it. If you're interested, you can come and join.
Awesome. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Remember, like, comment, subscribe.